name is Tori Purcell, and I am the Public Relations Coordinator at the Second Harvest Food Bank. So our main focus is to feed people who are hungry, and that ranges from children to seniors to families who are just in a tight spot. Maybe they only need food for this week and it's not a long-term issue for them, but we really want to be a hand up instead of a hand out. And so not only do we want to be providing food to people and educating the community on those who need food, but we also want to hook them up with resources that are going to ensure that they won't need food forever, that they're not always going to be food insecure, they're not always going to be wondering where their next meal is coming from. And we find that a lot of people who once needed the services of the food bank are able to turn around and support us in the future. There's one organization that I know of just because of my job with food drives and fundraising. She helped her organization plan a fundraiser for us, and she came and dropped off the money, and we're thanking her for thinking of us. And she said, I thought of doing this for my organization because at one point I was in need of food. My family was in a tight spot, and without the services of the food bank, I don't know if I would be here today. I don't know if I'd be working in this job. I don't know how I would be providing for my children. And that's really the main focus, is so people, when they're in a tight spot, they don't have to stay there. They can get that little bit of a hand up to get back on their feet, and hopefully be able to tell others that the food bank can do the same thing for them. So gleaning is something that we do from midsummer until the end of fall, and we work with local farmers and individuals who plant produce that either they're not able to sell. Like if it's a farmer, they'll plant an extra row and we'll get the extra row donated to the food bank, or just individuals who want to plant fresh produce for Second Harvest Food Bank. So we have one board member who every year he plants an entire field of sweet corn, and it all gets gleaned to come to the food bank. So it varies between one row from a farmer or an entire field from just a donor. But it takes a lot of work to glean an entire field of corn, so we rely heavily on volunteers to help us go out and pick that produce, so that the generous people who are donating it to us don't have to pick it all themselves. They have some help to get it from their farms into our warehouse. I spoke a little bit about how the food bank is trying to focus on healthy initiatives. So people, when they go get food from their food pantry or from an emergency shelter, it's not just a can of tuna fish or a jar of peanut butter. It's fresh apples and fresh corn on the cob and stuff that is more expensive in the grocery store, but we would still like to be able to have available to people in shelters or at a food pantry or at a soup kitchen. If the farmers have machines, they can certainly do that. There are some donors who will pick the fields themselves and drop it off here, but if it's a smaller farm or an individual, they might not have that access, and we don't want the food to go to waste. So if the only option is for us to get volunteers,